Mr. Nema is a civil engineer and holds double masters, MTech Environmental Engineering IIT Kanpur and MSc Sanitary Engineering UNESCO, Netherlands. Formerly with Indian Engineering Services 1985, he brings over 35 years of experience in engineering and management consulting in the fields of water and environment, urban and rural development, industrial pollution control. Over the last 20 years as a freelancer, Mr. Nema has worked on over 100 assignments with multilateral and bilateral agencies, consulting firms, as well as NGOs, INGOs, and NGOs all across the country and overseas, involving studies of urban infrastructure, services, and institutions. Mr. Nema carried out seminal studies on the challenges involved in diverse treatment technologies for municipal solid waste as well as wastewater, and he has been a part of international teams for writing manuals and guidebooks. He did pioneering work in promotion of the practice of home composting as an individual environmental responsibility to address the challenge of domestic solid waste in the country, and he also writes a blog on the same subject. Over the last 20 years, Mr. Nema is associated with ISKCON and is a practicing spiritualist. He received initiation in January 2015 under His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami, and his spiritual name is Asima Narottama Das. His current interests comprise acquiring deep understanding of Krishna consciousness and spreading the teachings of Bhagavad-Gita for guidance to the younger generation and the society. He is volunteering his services to the Institute for Science and Spirituality, ISKCON Delhi. Asim Narottama Das writes on the subject of spirituality and consciousness, anchors conferences, as well as delivers talks on related topics. He is widely traveled both domestic and internationally and is passionate about visiting places of religious interest. So let us welcome our wonderful speaker, Mr. Asit Nema, uh, for today's seminar on the art and science of meditation. Hare Krishna, Asit Prabhu, you can continue.
So thank you very much, Mr. Pranit Kumar, Prem Kishore Prabhu, for your kind words. And first of all, thanks to ISS for giving this opportunity to share some thoughts and some understanding on this nice topic. Science and Spirituality Institute promotes these interesting subjects among younger generation and the scientific community. So my today's talk is on art and science of meditation, and I call it as the whole title is the art and science of meditation in this present age of hypocrisy. So because we are living in Kali Yuga and hypocrisy is predominant, so how we can practice meditation in this current times. So I'll share my screen. Okay, so I hope now you're able to see the screen.
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
Okay. So the title is The Art and Science of Meditation in the Present Age of Hypocrisy. So the content of the presentation is we'll have some invocation, and then we'll talk about consciousness, what are the shades of consciousness and how to attempt purification of the consciousness. Then we are getting into meditation, so we should ask what are the fundamental questions, what is the most crucial curiosity, why this meditation, what is the purpose of meditation. Then what is meditation, what is mantra meditation. Then quick look at the history of chanting, and then how the chanting works, then the importance of chanting, numerous benefits of chanting the mantra, then how what you can chant. So whether you can chant any material word, any material name, or some specific names of the god. Then we'll have some medical evidences on the effects of chanting, spectral analysis and MRI study on the effects of chanting. Then eventually the most profound, most recommended mantra in these current times of chanting, that is the Maha Mantra. So what is that Maha Mantra, and how that can be chanted, and how one can then ultimately attain the objectives of chanting. Okay, so fasten your seat belts, because there will be quite some interesting ideas flowing from here, and that might give you some turbulence if you have not been exposed to the virtues of chanting of the mantras. So first the invocation, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyaham Dadati Supadantikam Mukum Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langatim Girim Yatkapatam Aham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarine Paramananda Madhavam. So, as I said, the shades of consciousness. Consciousness is actually a symptom of life. So, meaning that as long as the soul is there, the body has consciousness. So, it's an indicator of the presence of the soul in the body, in a living being. So, it can be humans, it can be other entities, other living beings. So we have, different shades of consciousness. One is called covered consciousness, which is what you see in trees and plants, the vegetation world. So, they feel, but they cannot express. They cannot move from one place to the other. So they have limitations. They cannot express if somebody is hurting them or cutting a tree. So you have to perceive that. Then the next one is contracted consciousness. The animals, they can feel, they can also express, okay, but they cannot distinguish. Many times they cannot, they have their own propensities, and they will insist, they will continue to do those things. So they cannot discriminate what is doable, what is not doable, and many other things. They cannot attain higher levels of consciousness. Then comes the budding consciousness. That's an average human being. So he's concerned that, okay, what I can do, what should I eat, what I can wear, where I should live, and in general how I should behave and things like that. So that's it. I mean, he's like an average common person concerned with basic necessities of life. Then comes the blossoming consciousness. So persons with rising higher level of realization. So they start inquiring, what is it? What am I here? What am I supposed to do? What is my purpose of being here? And things like that. So slowly and slowly, their basic needs are met, and they are now curious. So in the next slide, we will see what are those curiosities. Then comes completely blossomed consciousness. So this is a person who has attained fairly high level of self-realization. He knows what is the purpose of his being here, and he is having a very high level of discrimination in all aspects of his life. You would see that he would not indulge unnecessarily in things which are binding, compelling, and things like that. So now we also can classify, consciousness according to the modes, the consciousness and the material nature. So what is that? First is the mode of goodness, that is called satoguna. Then the next one is mode of passion, that is rajoguna. And then mode of ignorance, tamoguna. So, and these things, these are very profound aspects. Tamoguna is like a lazy person, lethargic person, low level of IQ, lazy, dull, and not very motivated. So that is the mode of ignorance of a, the person is in that mode. Then the next one is mode of passion. So he is, very passionate about things. He has high level of understanding, but more on the, material aspects. So he is more interested in profits, bigger, better, big achievements, and big name, big fame, and things like that. Then comes the mode of goodness. The person has high level of IQ, high level of understanding, but he understands both material aspects and then the spiritual aspects. He's balanced, he's calm, peaceful, satisfied, contented, things like that. So these are the broad personality traits of people in these three broad modes. And how you can attribute these modes, everybody is born in a mode of ignorance, okay, but slowly and slowly, under the conditioning in this life as well as in the previous life, if you believe in rebirth, so that is how the conditioning happens. And here we are talking about, if you're talking about meditation, so meaning mind and eventually the soul. So we are also talking about the past life and the karma that are being brought forward and so on. So what happens is that it is due to our association with the material nature from time immemorial, okay, not only this life but previous lives also. Our consciousness is now adulterated by the material atmosphere. So naturally, if one is it's living in circumstances which are very conducive, so the person will develop in that direction, whether it is materially conducive or whether it is spiritually conducive or non-conducive. This is how broadly one can put it. So what are these fundamental questions if one is interested in raising or elevating one's consciousness? First is, who am I? Okay, whether I am this body or I am something else. Then where have I come from? Then why did I come here? What is the purpose of my being here? If I am here in this material world, that what am I supposed to do? And what am I doing here? And there is a saying that the next one is like, where will I go? Where will I go from here? And then if you know where you are supposed to go, then you will figure out the way to go there. So how will I go there? But there is a saying in English saying that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So most of the people are in that category because they don't know where they are supposed to go, and therefore they are not curious to figure out the path, how to go there. So now in this presentation, towards the later part of this presentation, we will explore answers to these questions. If time permitting, we will explore the now purification of the consciousness. So how do you do purification? Just an example, like raindrops when they are falling from the sky, from the cloud stage, they are very pure. But as they fall through the atmosphere, they accumulated dust particles and various bacteria and viruses, and then they fall on the ground in the mud, so they become completely impure. You can't use it. But if you capture the water in a in a plate on a rooftop, then that is relatively clean. So similarly, our consciousness is also in the beginning clean, but As we come in contact with people and the surroundings, the atmosphere, the family, and the schooling and the profession, wherever, whatever we are into, we acquire those characteristics. Knowingly or unknowingly, those things rub on your shoulder and then they get into your personality. So, for example, in average student, if he is sitting with the front benchers, he starts getting higher marks, and vice versa. That is, a smart student, a good student, if he is maddening with the backbenchers, then he starts failing in his grades. It's very simple. So now, how do you purify water? You purify water with electrical energy and with chemical energy, by putting the pump on and the motor and the mixing, and then you put some chemicals like chlorine and some other alum and lime for purifying the water. Yeah. So similarly here, our consciousness has to be purified. Now you cannot use electrical energy because that is a very hard energy. What we use is sound energy. Sound energy is a subtle energy and it does wonders. So we will look at the virtues of sound energy, and so sound energy is one simple critical aspect of purifying the consciousness. And next one is chemical energy, which is diet, what we eat. But now that is a whole completely different subject, and that will take one full or two full sessions. So we will not go into that. We will focus on the chanting aspect of it. Of course, ABCD is the formula for purifying the consciousness. So A is for association, as I said in the beginning. There is another saying that you are known by the company that you keep. Then B is the books. So you got to, if you are fortunate to read prescribed, authorized, bona fide books from bona fide authors, spiritual masters, that will do wonders. And slowly over a period of time, depending on the excess baggage that one is carrying from previous lives, one would be able to purify the consciousness. Now let's see how does that happen. But before that, let me flag some of the myths which are there about meditation. So, for example, they say, no, you must sit completely upright in order for meditation to work. So your, the back should be absolutely vertical and so on. You should be cross-legged, sitting there. The process of meditation is to empty the mind and stop all thoughts. No, that's not correct. Okay. Sitting upright, yes and no, because upright sitting will at least help you in not falling asleep. Okay. But that is not, I mean, in the beginning, it is not a very critical or, most critical parameter. Then it's important you have a completely quiet environment. That's also yes and no. It will be good if you have, but if it is not, then you can, even then you can manage. Then the aim of meditation is to feel calm. No, that's not the case. Okay. It's not that you are looking for happiness or feeling calm. No. The purpose is something different. We will hear next in a few other slides down the line. Then meditation can interfere with religion. No, that's not the case. You can continue to have your faith, but meditation is a completely different technique or practice of mind control, thought control. Nothing to do with interference with the religion. Okay, so here again, continuing from the previous one, people think again that meditation is a freeing of one's mind and forgetting about daily anxieties and focusing on mental relaxation, and I want to feel happy. And the practice is like continuous extended focus on one object, breath control and passive observation of thoughts and things like that. So these are all, again, these are, I would say, yes and no. These are misconceptions, as well as to a certain extent they can help, but we have to rise above that. So I'm going to share with you a technique of meditation which overcomes these myths. In Bhagavad-Gita, Arjun says that the mind is restless. Mind is like a monkey. Mind is restless, it's turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Oh Krishna, and to subdue it, I think is more difficult than controlling the wind. So Arjun was a great warrior. He could control the wind, but he says, I can't control mind. So Krishna replies that yes, Arjun, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. That is Bhagavad-Gita 6.35. So now, so the technique of meditation that we are going to talk about today is coming from Bhagavad-Gita. And that's described by the most perfect person, that is Krishna. So what is it? Let's hear more on this. Krishna says, in chapter 6, 11 to 14, that ideally one should be very particular about the location and the seat and the posture and the control of the mind and the senses and the activities. Then control the breathing process, then staring at the tip of the nose, controlling the food habits, and exercising, practicing celibacy and being devoid of fear. So, these are very rigid specifications, and he prescribed it for a different age and different time. But this is not possible in current age of hypocrisy and deceit. This is called Kali Yuga. Yeah. So he prescribes, considering the challenges involved, he prescribes an alternate method, and that is what we are going to talk about. Now, you see, meditation is about mind. So let us hear what Krishna says in chapter 6 itself, that how mind control is there. One must deliver himself with the help of mind and not degrade himself. Mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Krishna says in 6.6 that for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So meditation is all about controlling the mind, conquering the mind. And here Krishna is explaining that mind can be a greatest friend and a greatest enemy. Then he says, for one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. And this is what most of the people who consider mind control meditation, meaning that controlling the tranquility, achieving the tranquility. But then they don't look at the aspect of super soul connectivity. So he explains then, who has controlled the mind, attained the tranquility. For to such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. So these are the characteristics or the gunas that one acquires. But as I said, this specification or the approach of doing meditation is very difficult. How do we then attain? So Krishna offers that in Bhagavad-Gita 6.14, he says that one should meditate on me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Very simple. How to meditate? Now the magic is how to then meditate on Krishna. Me meaning Krishna here. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says one should practice meditation by constantly seeing oneself to be an eternal cognizant spirit soul and seeing the Lord to be the absolute controller of everything. So meaning that meditation is not about emptying the mind or stopping the thought process. No, it's basically proactively meditating on the super soul, on Paramatma, on Bhagwan, and the Lord. And one should consider that you're the part and parcel of the Supreme in the larger scheme of his creation. Now, let's get into a little bit of technicalities. So what is a mantra? we are talking about mantra meditation. We are not looking at meditation in the conventional way, that closing the mind or focusing on a particular thing. We are looking at mantra meditation. Mantra meaning manas and trayate. Manas means mind, and trayate means that which frees or delivers. Okay, so how you can define is that a combination of transcendental spiritual sounds which are meant to liberate the mind from the anxieties of life in the material world. So liberation from anxiety is the outcome of the process, and the process is chanting of spiritual sounds under a prescribed setting. And mantra can be of different types. There are different types of mantras. Now, what is mantra meditation? In Bhagavad-Gita again, 7.8, Krishna says, I am the sound in the ether. Okay, so for example, the sound in the ether, meaning the clouds in the monsoon, the sound that is coming from the sky, actually the sound that is representative of the God. That is the sound of the God. That's the sound. That's the God himself. Okay, Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, used to say that when you hear an aircraft coming, you can associate, you can feel the presence of the God out there. Okay, so sound is very sacred. So for example, you have this instruments on the right. They produce wonderful sounds, sounds of different nature. Like I have this bell on my tabletop. I will play this here. So different sounds have different effects on our mind. Okay, so sound is very sacred, effective tool in shaping reality. Sounds coming from a conch, sound from cymbals, sound from a flute, sound from a stringed instrument, sound from percussion. So these are different type of sounds. You define sound with the help of frequency and amplitude, the pitch. So different sound frequencies. The chanting is basically a repetition of sacred transcendental vibrations. Okay, so same sound, same words you keep on chanting again and again and again over a period of time. So the intent is that transmission of certain frequencies, which would be conducive for our psyche, our thinking process. So it's like a tuning fork. Okay, so when you chant, you become your own tuning fork. One becomes his own tuning fork, and then when it is perfectly tuned, you see through the illusion of the world. So that is the the technique. Now, how to reach that perfectly tuned state of chanting. The syllables coming out of your mouth and the frequency with which the mind, the brain waves are, how to synchronize the brain waves with your chanting process. So, for example, if I am speaking, I have a particular frequency, somebody else has different frequency, the children have different frequency, women have different frequency, men have different frequency, so bass and the pitch. So, how these frequencies affect our brain waves, how they synchronize with the brain waves. But over a period of time, certain mantras which include different frequencies, they can help in doing this synchronization. And they can help in restoring the normal vibratory frequencies of the human body. Our body is comprising of billions of cells, and they have their own natural frequency. So when we chant, we are attempting to do a synchronization of the brain waves and the frequency of the cells. And this is therefore a recognized spiritual discipline, especially coming from the Vedic civilization, from the Eastern cultures. Ancient, for long time, the mantra chanting has history of its own. It's been a powerful spiritual practice established to basically, now here it is, what is the purpose of chanting, or what is the purpose of meditation? Basically, it is not to just feel free or lighter or calm, happy. No, no, no. Basically, chanting is to establish loving relationship with the divine. Okay, through continuous chanting of sacred words, sacred sounds. So since ages, this chanting has been, this people have been chanting, saints have been chanting, monks have been chanting in India, in Eastern countries, and spiritualists in other traditions for time immemorial. Yeah, in Japan, in Ladakh, in Tibet, Tibetan chanting, and Chinese societies, and so on. So over millions, over the centuries, have derived spiritual strength world over by practicing mantra chanting. And this is what we are sharing today with you. Okay. Now, Lord Krishna says that I am the, I can't see my this. Om is the primordial sound. Om, not merely a syllable, but it's the divinity in sound, its sound form. So Bhagavad-Gita 7.8, Krishna says, Pranavaha Sarva Vedeshu. He says, I am Om, Omkar. In 9.17, he says, Vedyam Pavitram Omkaram. I am that sacred word Om. Yeah. So this is the primordial and sound, sacred sound of the universe. The sound is created on its own. When you speak Om, it is happening on its own. So it includes all sound frequencies, and one experiences spatial vibrations when one chants. However, before that, scientists have also recognized the therapeutic and psychological benefits of Om chanting. But in this current age, of hypocrisy and deceit, it's not the prescribed method of chanting. Why? Because it requires higher level of purification, and there are certain restrictions, and it doesn't induce the love of God. Why? Because Om, when you're looking at Om or you're listening Om, you don't get the feel for the personality of God. Okay, the persona of the God. So one would inquire, okay, then what should I chant? What can I chant? The mantras from ancient cultures are like this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is one mantra. Then the Gayatri mantra. Then Om Namah Shivaya. Certain school of thoughts, certain spiritual schools, they prescribe Shiva worship, so they chant Om Namah Shivaya. Then there is this another, the other Maha Mantra, the other mantra called Maha Mantra, that is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay. So in today's presentation, we are looking at this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We'll look at it in the later slide. Buddhism have their own mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum, and then there is this other school which is promoting this mantra chanting called Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Now here, one doesn't again with the Buddhist chants, one doesn't relate with the persona of the God. Jainism has this another one called Namonkar mantra. Now the difference between the left and the right is that here in the left, the mantras help you relate with the personality of the God, the form of the God, the persona of the God, and his pastimes and so on. So one can relate with him. One can then, over a period of time, establish loving relationship with him. all ancient mantras are as potent today as they were in the past. So if one says, no, they were working in the past, but now we are in a different time, we are in a technologically advanced society, and so on and so forth. Well, no, whatever has worked for centuries and millennia, it works now also. So this is what we are trying to do. So now let's see how and why chanting works. What happens is people have blockages over their physical body, their mental body, and their soul. So this chanting helps in overcoming these blockages. Uh, Physical body level, people face energy and matter blockages. On mental blockages are due to ego and attachment and negative mindset and emotions and attitude and so on. And then soul blockages are due to accumulated and continuing karma. So if you believe in the karma theory, the reactions from the previous birth are brought forward, and that is why some people have certain personalities and some people have different personalities. Some are introverts, some are extroverts, some are in the sato guna, some are in the tamo guna, and so on. So that is all happening because of the excess baggage brought from previous life, and that influences, so that causes inhibition of individual's personality. And how to overcome these blockages? So the sound energy, as I said, water is cleaned by electrical energy, and the soul, the mind, is cleaned by sound energy. And so the discussion continues. So what happens that when you continue to chant certain sacred words, synchronization of brain waves and restores our normal frequency of the cell in our body. It affects the subconscious mind. It brings out all positive and energy from within. Your mind tends to focus on repetitive chanting, other thoughts do not come. So instead of blanking out the mind, we actually fill our mind with sacred words over an extended period of time. So here the attempt is not to blank out the mind. That is not possible. Mind is simply not, it is not possible to blank out. The thoughts will keep on coming and coming. So the smartness is to channel the thoughts in a particular direction on a particular subject. Sorry. So slowly and steadily, the chanting will remove wrong and negative impressions, and it transforms into positive impressions. So mantra chanting will work like a shield around your psyche. It's like a kavach. It creates an armor of sound energy around the mind, body, and soul, and that will protect from the negative influence of the material world. So it helps. Chanting helps in gathering spiritual and divine energies, and it enables transforming any issues of life over a period of time. Now it's a subtle process, so it takes time. It's not that overnight you will get benefits. One has to go through the press, the metallurgy of. I often say metallurgy of making a 24 karat gold. It cannot happen over time. It will take certain time, maybe a few months or years. In some cases, it takes several years. So the Vedic mantras create positive vibrations of love, forgiveness, and compassion over a period of time again. Okay. And when you develop love for Godhead, you can love anybody. Yeah. So that is how you move from tamo guna to sato guna over a period of time. You develop discrimination in your likings and your what you would eat, what you would not eat, what you will read, where you will sit, where you will, with whom you will talk, and so on. So that transformation, that purification happens over a period of time. Again, basically love, forgiveness, and compassion, these are wonderful attributes, but very often you don't relate, very often people don't relate these things. They relate it more with the physical level. But chanting over a period of time helps one clear all the blockages, and one becomes more forgiving, one becomes more compassionate. Okay. Then it helps in rejuvenation of the entire being, and transformation of all spheres of material and spiritual life. It brings about that kind of transformation. So we're looking at certain benefits of the chanting. And the longer and more one chants, the faster the removal of blockage. So basically, it's like, the medicine, you take one tablet or two tablet once a day or twice a day. So similarly here, the more you chant, the faster will be the results, and the faster transformation of one's body, mind, heart, and soul. So you will see some people are more compassionate, some people are, very forgiving, whereas other people are, they become very angry very soon. They lose their temper, they get into fighting. So why is that? It's all because of the what do you call, the mental makeup, the excess baggage that one is carrying. Now let's see, if somebody speaks an unpalatable word, then that causes anger, that causes negative vibrations, and it creates, adverse psychological reaction in us, and any typical person. Whereas a sweet word, a soothing music, that carries a lot of energy of the cosmos, and it does wonders to your body. And naturally, if somebody is speaking, nicely, we tend to be, impressed. We tend to like him. Whereas obviously, we don't like somebody who is speaking harsh words. Yeah. So here again, similarly, mantra chants are basically sacred words, and they purify and heal the consciousness. They help overcome emotional imbalances, behavioral issues, physical issues. And because we are chanting certain sacred words, we are not chanting material words, contaminating words, psychologically contaminating words. No. So they help in relationship challenges, overcoming the challenges. They help in mental and spiritual blockages. They help in overcoming worries and dilemmas of life. These are again profound benefits from chanting. Some technical aspect, for example, this is representative of a living being, a person. This is the soul, and this is the outer mind, intellect and ego. So the person who is not chanting, okay, who is not doing any spiritual practices, slowly and slowly, when a person is doing spiritual practices, his mind, intellect, okay, man, buddhi and ahankar starts getting purified, and he starts, that the blackness starts going away, the blackness of the present age of hypocrisy, the conditioning of the Kali Yuga. And over a period of time, this thing is completely of the same nature as the original identity of the soul particle. So this is how the increasing spiritual practice dissolves the ego around the soul, and that is how a person becomes more compassionate, more forgiving, more loving. So that's why mantra chanting helps in physical and emotional, mental and spiritual bodies. It blesses, rejuvenates and purifies every aspect of human life, and it transforms one consciousness to divine consciousness. So in Bhagavad-Gita 4.10, Krishna says, being freed from attachment, fear and anger, that is what we want. I don't want to be angry, I want to overcome my fear. And then being fully absorbed in me, meaning Krishna, and taking refuge in Krishna. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of Krishna, and thus they all attain transcendental love of me. So this is the ultimate objective of meditation: how to connect with the transcendence, how to transcend the challenges of material life. Okay. So mantra benefits, it's enlightening, it imparts feeling of well-being and happiness. It enables one to spread divine love, forgiveness and compassion to all, meaning not just the family members, but the larger society, the humanity, the mother nature and the universe. And how is that? I will, relate, you will help, it will help you relate that over a period of time, one would become discriminating in even, what one would eat, what would not eat, what one would speak, one would not speak, and so on. So that you don't want to harm or hurt anybody. Okay, so over a period of time, then one receives divine grace, and that is how the cosmic grace, the divine grace starts coming. So you will see some people, some persona of some people, they are so radiating, they are so happy, so peaceful, they are so calm. And how is that happening? That is, an example of an epitome of the grace of God being showered on him or her. Okay, he has cleared all his past bad karma or the excess baggage, and that's how he is now in an uplifted spiritual standing. That is how you distinguish people. The aura they carry, that helps you read where are they coming from and where are they currently. So now, what can you chant? Can you chant any material word, or you should be chanting some prescribed sacred words? Chanting of the name of the God is the prescribed thing in this current age of hypocrisy. And God's names are eternal and non-different from His form. That is the fundamental premise. That when you take the name, let's say, if I take the name of, let's say, a person, so his name will first sound, and the person will come right, after the name is spoken. So similarly, when you chant the name of the God, you got to believe that the presence of the God is there. It's just that you can't see him, but you got to feel him. You got to relate with his invisible presence around you. So that is how slowly and slowly you transcend. It transcends all sectarian boundaries. So you're not chanting the name of a god in a particular religion or one particular sect, because it is non-sectarian. You can chant name of God from any religion that you are coming from, not necessary to chant any particular. But having said that, there are prescribed mantras, and they will help you. So that, as I said in the beginning, that meditation or mantra meditation doesn't mean that it is influencing your religious beliefs. And so how does it work? It's like, example, fire. Fire has the nature to burn. It will burn, whether it is anything that comes in contact with it will burn. So similarly, mantra chanting, it will work, whether you believe or not believe, you trust or you don't trust. If you chant, it will work over a period of time. It will work, and millions of people are living example of that. And persistent and firmly, so continuous chanting, it persists and firmly establish the devotional center. So how does that happen is shown here. This is our conscious mind, which is only 10%, and this is our subconscious mind, which is 90%. And there are several thoughts there in the subconscious which we can't read because we don't know, we are not aware of. So one thought will come from here to here. There is an invisible barrier. There is a separation here, which is porous. So only one thought will come at one point of time. And which one will come? Most dominant thought will come. And then the barrier closes. So it doesn't allow the other thoughts to come again. So by mantra chanting, one enforces, one strengthens one particular thought, and that is the devotional center. So that becomes more powerful, and then there is higher and higher possibility or probability, or beyond probability, the possibility of only that thought coming from subconscious to conscious. So all the unnecessary thoughts will not come in our mind. So there is the technique, this is the science of controlling the thoughts from the subconscious to the conscious. So study chanting, it becomes more stronger and stronger, and therefore you then divert unnecessary thoughts and only bring the most useful, most powerful thought in the conscious. So practitioner repeatedly ignores other impressions, keeps focus on devotion center, and eventually the subconscious mind also gets cleaned, because these unnecessary thoughts will not be now, they will not receive their nutrition. They will be deprived, and over a period of time, even the subconscious mind also will get purified. And here is a MRI study done on people who were doing meditation, mantra chanting, and it says that the conclusion says that Om chanting, for example, they did with people who were doing Om chanting, the experience of vibration sensation around the ears, there was the sensation is transmitted through the auricular branch of the vagus nerve. These are neurological terms, and we have interacted with neuroscientists, and they endorse that yes, it makes profound effect. Simple non-invasive Om chanting has a similar effect on the brain and vagus nerve as implanted electrical devices. So chanting sacred words, divine God names has a discharging effect on the brain. It discharges us from compulsive thinking, wanting and grasping, which are the personality traits of people in the Rajoguna. So, and any other chanting words, any other words that doesn't have that kind of effect as you chant the names of the God. Then there is structural MRI study, which also says that numerous regions in the brains of the scholars were dramatically larger. Then there was a consistent correlation with enhanced cognitive function and some more technical stuff, but let's skip that. The virtues of chanting now. So what happens is it has gained worldwide popularity and evolved as an independent school of meditation, scientifically proven to provide peace and purification of body, mind, and soul, and it has astounding effects. Antidote to stress. That is what initially we started with. People want to be, less stressed. They want to be peaceful. They want to be happy. But then the technique is not just by blanking out the mind, but by filling it with the names of the God, with the positive, most positive words. Health benefits. Now it reduces adrenaline levels, so it lowers our stress levels. It regulates blood circulation and helps in controlling the BP. That is the lifestyle disease these days. Normalizes heartbeat and respiration process, and it makes more efficient working of the heart. So these are some of the, at the physiological level. Then chanting listening. They are only fond of hearing their own voice. So how to improve the listening skills? There are children who are hyperactive. How to help them? That will help them. Mantra chanting will help them. So people become higher. They have higher sensitivity towards others, because otherwise people are more irritable these days. Even short chants energize people and heal the body and the mind. So one can do chanting maybe for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Slowly and slowly you increase over maybe half an hour, then a little more. So as you develop the taste, you increase your duration of chanting. Then Maha Mantra chanting effect. Dr. Vivek Baluja from US Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit has found that Maha Mantra chanting, that is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra chant, helps in Maha Mantra could help in anxiety and even extreme cases of schizophrenia. Okay. So chanting sets out our mood, it improves level of endorphins. So you feel refreshed and relaxed. It balances hormonal secretions that play a major role in causing mood swings. So many people have mood swings, especially women. So that helps in controlling mood swings. Japa in Brahma Muhurta. Chanting means japa. And when can you do it? As a matter of fact, you can do anytime, anywhere. But the most conducive period is early morning. Okay, so good mood first thing in the morning. So you have, whole day is now laid out for you. It will be a piece of cake. You will be so charged up and refreshed throughout the day. So it helps you throughout during your interaction with your, whatever field of work you are. It will help in improved interpersonal relationship. It will make you more efficient in your working and your interaction with people. Chanting helps in detoxing. Now, detoxing is something when you take some toxins into the body, you have the challenge of detox. But when we follow certain practices, when we follow chanting of the sacred words, names of the God, and especially the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then we also have certain regulations to follow, so the toxins are stopped anyway, and therefore body is not receiving the contamination, and therefore anyway the load on the system is reduced, and as it is detox, and over and above that the sound vibrations will do more detox, so it regularizes blood circulation, it provides more oxygen to the body, and constant deep breathing will happen during the chanting process, and therefore your whole system will have a natural detox. Chanting also helps in improving sleep. You don't have to take sleeping pills, you don't have to do some unnecessary things to improve or to get sleep. Slowly and slowly with chanting, if you do chanting, let's say before going to bed, the mind will be conditioned, it will be the whole thing will numb down, so it helps in getting better sleep. It helps regularize sleep pattern and enhances quality of sleep. Okay, and as I said in the previous slide, that ideally Brahma Muhurta means early morning hours. So if you want to wake up early morning hours, you will be particular that you go to sleep early also in the evening. You're not doing late nights, and you are careful about the food and so on. So the whole system will then get tuned to a particular pattern, and the whole routine will be perfect, and there will not be unnecessary stress on the body and the mind. So now mantra chanting is it ensures youthfulness. Okay, so everybody wants to look younger, everybody wants to look attractive, beautiful, and they try out so many different things, some Chinese medicine and some herbal thing here and that potion and so on, French mineral water, and some water from a particular well from the Alps, and no, nothing is required. Basically we are talking about Bhagavad-Gita, and that is the message coming from Krishna, and he has told what is the art and science of meditation. And here is Krishna, is standing in front of you. So he is described as Sat, Chit, and Anand. What does that mean? Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Anand means full of bliss, absolute, full of happiness. So he is eternally youthful, he is full of knowledge, he is supremely blissful. So if you connect with him, he is described as the reservoir of pleasure. He is described as a reservoir of youthfulness, knowledge, and bliss. And he has these 6 qualities. He's most beautiful, most intelligent, most famous, most wealthy, most powerful, most renounced. All the 6 qualities are in abundance in just one personality, one person. And he's always depicted as a 16-year-old Superman. So if you connect with him slowly and slowly and slowly through the association of him, one would get these qualities, these attributes in varying proportions according to the practices that you follow. So this is the science of being absolutely youthful, absolutely blissful. Not by blanking out your mind you become happy and peaceful. No, filling your mind with the names of Krishna, who is full of these 6 qualities, you become happy, peaceful, calm, and so on and so forth. Then it enables control. The chanting enables control over feelings and emotions. So people become less impulsive and less reactive. They can analyze situation better. People react with cool mind. You become more empathetic, more compassionate, more forgiving, more loving. That's what we spoke in the beginning. People respond carefully to difficult situation, unlike people who respond without thinking, like the word that is jerk. No, you become less jerk, you become more compassionate, more full, total personality, more empathetic, more loving, and so on. And this is what eventually one wants to be. If one wants to improve the interpersonal relationship, whether it is in the family or in the workspace or in college, university, etc. So it gets rid of negativity. Okay, negativity is widespread, and the law of attraction applies. If you are in the company of negative people, one also becomes negative. And so therefore, how to stay positive? And mantra chanting helps in being positive. Mantra meditation makes one introspective, establish connection with the supreme, and to distinguish between permanent and temporary. You don't get disturbed by temporary ups and downs. Okay, you see the larger picture, the long term scenario, rather than the short term, tomorrow and day after. No. I'm concerned about, okay, not 1 year, 10 year, 20 year down the line. I'm concerned about my next life or next to next life. What will happen to me? Where am I going? You see the original question that I asked. So positive and negative feelings. So you can distinguish. You can then put a barrier. Okay, this is a negative one coming. Let me stop it here. So this is the coronavirus. I can kick the coronavirus out. And I always be in joyful mood all the time. So, so this is the mantra. Now, so we have been talking about Maha Mantra. So what is this Maha Mantra? Maha Mantra in this present age of quarrel and hypocrisy is this one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's it. Okay. In this mantra, there is no give and take with the business with God. That God, I'm doing this for you, give me this. Now I'm expecting this in return. No. Very simple. The meaning of the mantra is explained in the lower box. What is that? Krishna means the all attractive. Krishna, Akarshana, Krishna means all attractive. Rama means the all pleasing. And Hare is addressed to the Lord's devotional energy. Okay. And who is that? That is Radha. Okay. So the meaning of the mantra is, oh, all attractive, oh, all pleasing Lord, oh, energy of the Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. That's it. When you're chanting, run this line in the back of your mind. And slowly over a period of time, all the positive benefits, all the positive things that I showed in the previous slides will manifest in different proportions according to the level of engagement, according to the level of input that you give. And this is not a mantra that is concocted now. This is coming from scriptures. This is the great chant for liberating the mind. It's especially meant for contracting the ill effects of the present age of Q and H, that is quarrel and hypocrisy. Kali Santarana Upanishad, it is coming from Kali Santarana Upanishad. All mantras and processes for self-realization are compressed in this Maha Mantra. So you don't need to now explore various mantras from Tibet and Japan and this is cool and that is cool. No. This mantra includes all the frequencies, and there is no business that God, I am giving you so much, please give me so much. No, you don't do business with God. You just please Him. You develop loving relationship with Him. And when you chant Krishna, you have that image of Krishna coming in your mind, as I showed you earlier. The 16-year young man, Superman. And it carries all transcendental energy. Okay. So we are now coming to the close of this presentation slowly. Okay, 1 or 2 more slides, and then we'll get into, we've been talking for more than almost an hour now. So chanting, benefits of chanting continue. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what is that? It nourishes the soul and helps revive transcendental consciousness. Okay, so we are going beyond the body, beyond the mind, and all the way to the soul. Okay, so mind control we have done through chanting, and now we are reaping the benefits for the soul, and it helps establish one's loving relationship with the divine. Okay, you have to understand who am I. That will come a few slides down the line, and that is the relationship that reestablished, and it gives freedom from reactions of karma. The excess baggage that was brought from the previous life, that starts getting counteracted. So your balance sheet of an individual soul becomes more asset and liabilities are gone. Okay, if you are a chartered accountant or from business background, you can look at it from that point of view. Okay, my assets are increasing, my liabilities are going down, and my balance sheet is becoming stronger and stronger. It helps open eyes of wisdom and imparts clarity of thought. Okay. Yeah, so clarity of thought. You don't get disturbed unnecessarily. You don't get perturbed. You have the longer vision all the time. So one becomes more realistic, more tolerant, and more energetic, and one becomes virtuous. Because then you stop doing wrong things, you become virtuous, and as a result of that, you qualify to receive increasingly higher quantum of what is called as the grace of God. You see, grace of God is available to everybody, but you have to qualify. It is you have to have certain prerequisites. Then God is, as a loving father, ready to give to everybody. But for that, people have to qualify. For example, you qualify a job, you qualify entrance into a college. So likewise, you qualify receiving the grace of the God. He is ready to give it to everybody, but you got to qualify. This is Radha. This is Radha Rani. And this is, earlier I showed you Nitya Kishore, that is 16-year young Superman, and this is his energy. This is Nitya Kishori, Lord's devotional energy. Hare, that is how you refer to. So when you chant, you are harnessing the energy coming from her, coming through Krishna. So now I think I'll play music to you, and you can read this simultaneously, and that will make it very clear what is
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. The transcendental vibration established by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the sublime method of reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious. But due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by the material atmosphere. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. The material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya, or illusion. Maya means that which is not. And what is this illusion? The illusion is that we are all trying to be the lords of material nature, while actually we are under the grip of her stringent laws. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the all-powerful master, this is called illusion. In the polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature. But actually, we are becoming more and more entangled in her complexities. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Therefore, although we are engaged in a hard struggle to conquer nature, we are ever more dependent on her. This illusory struggle against material nature can be stopped revival of our Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Okay, so see, this is what this audio clip, the song tried to capture, that how we can revive our Krishna consciousness and how we can overcome our tendency of lording over the material nature, and how we can become more peaceful, more happy, more joyous. And this is what exactly, excuse me. This is how exactly Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, demonstrated on a global scale in the 60s and 70s, and that continues now. When he went to the US, young boys and girls were addicted to drugs and sex, and they were trying to explore alternate ways of attaining nirvana. But he said, no, you don't have to do all those nonsense. You simply have to chant. And from hippies, that was the hippie movement at that point of time in the US. From hippies, all these guys became happies. And you see on the right, the picture from Europe and US, where people are just, so blissful, simply by practicing the japa or mantra meditation and following the prescribed processes. Okay, so this is how most profound transformation that can happen, and that is also demonstrates that chanting of the Maha Mantra is non-sectarian. It is not related with any religion or any particular sect. So with this, we come to the end of this presentation. Thank you very much. And the message is chant Hare Krishna as your method of meditation, and be happy. I'll be happy to take questions if you have any questions, and then I can explain more technicalities through that. I'll momentarily, for some time, I will stop sharing it, and if need be, then I'll share again the screen. So broadly, this is what I wanted to share, and I hope you found it useful. There is science in it, there is logic in it, there is rational in it. It's not, some what do you call blind belief or blind faith. It's all science, and it has been demonstrated over half a century how transformations have taken place, and very well accepted by people from different parts of the world. So there is no doubt that it works. Okay. If you have any queries, we can take up some of these queries. I think we have some time, yeah?
Prabhuji, may I ask a question, please?
Yeah, please, yeah.
So just one question, wherein does the kirtan have the same impact as the chanting, or is there a difference between the kirtana and the chanting?
Okay, yeah, so that's a good question. So you see, chanting, what happens is that you are at the individual level. Okay, so one is doing individual chanting, and kirtan means congregational chanting. So congregational chanting has much more effect, as a matter of fact, because you are now harnessing the energies of the entire group. There is so much of positivity in the entire group, and that entire positivity is now engulfing you. So it has much more. So there is this thing, step in this process of devotional service called Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So first is Shravanam, and what you're doing, Shravanam means you're chanting yourself, reading yourself or chanting yourself, hearing from somebody. So that is first level of engagement. And the next one is kirtan. So kirtan, as I said, congregational, so group chanting the same thing, and naturally the sound vibrations are so powerful, synchronized chanting of sacred words, syllables. So that is going to have much more profound effect. Yeah. And now there was a question that which is better. So you see, the thing is that you cannot do kirtan all the time. Kirtan can happen maybe once a week. You can bring people together, but you can do individually chanting at your own convenience, your own time, preferred time, early morning, late evening, wherever, whenever you have time. You can also do, congregational chanting at home with your family. If all the members of the family are willing, they do it. So for example, I do it very often. My wife comes and sits with me for some time, and my son is in the US. So I get him on the WhatsApp, and both of us chant across the continents. He is in the New York and I am here, and we chant. So that's also congregational chanting of the sort, taking advantage of the technology.
So, Prabhuji, how about the YouTube Kirtana? So, can we just listen to the YouTube Kirtana and then sing along? Will that impact?
You see, it's like this, fresh juice and canned juice. Okay. So you do your own kirtana, that has more conviction, more involvement, more participation. If you can't do, the second best option is, of course, a recorded one, and chant along with that, just for guidance. But it will be good if you master the art of doing that yourself, and enjoy that. That will be more what do you call, it will help you connect more with the divinity, deeper commitment, deeper connection, deeper relation. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Prabhuji, there is one question in the chat box. Divyanshi is asking, what is the purpose of my life? So how do you understand, Prabhuji, this question, purpose of life?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me share this again, the slide presentation. So actually, this question, what Mr. Inderjeet Nagpal has asked is, I can relate to the set of questions that I had raised in the beginning. Who am I, basically? So we have to take a step back. Okay. Currently, we are all fighting. We are rushing, running, trying to make bigger, most out of the available resources and the time and expertise that we have in acquiring more material wealth, so to say. Okay, name, fame, and wealth. We take a step back, and you have to figure out in the center of this picture, the body grows, takes birth and grows, and then again going and going and going. So this is the cycle, the helix of birth and death, goes on and on. So we have to realize that we are not this body. We are this spark which is there running throughout, and which is a nanoparticle called soul or spiriton, 10 to the power 9 minus 9, 10 to the power minus 9 size. That is the spiritual spark. And as we keep, like we change our shirt, when the shirt is torn, we put on new shirt. Similarly, the soul puts on new body, okay, according to the liking and the traits and the karma. So we have to get out of this cycle of birth and death. And our basic nature is that we are part and parcel of Krishna. Okay, that is what Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Mame Vansha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. everybody is part and parcel, and he is saying that you better have, reestablish your loving relationship with me. Otherwise, according to the karma, one would end up getting into this cycle of birth and death of 84, 84 lakh species, 8.4 million species, according to the karma. And where have I come from? I'm asking this, I'm sharing this because the question is the purpose of human form of life. Okay, so where have I come from? Basically, I have come from here. Originally, I was connected here. I came from here. Okay, this is the divine abode. And Krishna is transcendentally, eternally, involved in transcendental pleasure. However, the independent soul wanted to come down and enjoy independently. So that is where the trouble starts. We get entangled in, material activities and are not able to come out of it. Here, the purpose of human form of life is basically to develop that forgotten loving relationship with the divine. This is how he is having his transcendental pastimes with his associates. And when we are in this material world, we can do the same thing by practicing prescribed methods, prescribed way of life. Chanting is the beginning. Chanting is like that, taking admission in the kindergarten, and slowly one can go to the level of PhD by reading scriptures, by being in the association of devotees, and by following the prescribed methods. So that is the purpose of my being here. Otherwise, I'm entangled in this material Maya Jal and not able to come out, and running after wealth. And in the process, I'm in this ladder of envy, lust, greed, ignorance, false prestige, pride, attachment, etc. And we forget to climb this ladder, which is, the austerity and self-control, the study of the scriptures, and having loving relationship with the divine. Most people don't have time for this. They are only in this ladder and entangled in this Maya Jal. My purpose. So where am I supposed to go? I have to figure out that I'm supposed to go back home from where I came and get out of the cycle of birth and death, the helix, and get on different bodies, according to my karma. No. I have to clear my balance sheet and get into this original transcendental position which I came from. Okay, and how do I reach there? Now that is the next question, that if I know where I'm going, where I'm supposed to go, so this is the prescribed method. Basically, all the science is given. What I have been talking about today is all derived from Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada describes the whole. So this is actually the manual of life, to figure out the purpose of life and the method of attaining that purpose. And Krishna says here, the concluding, you can say this is the concluding verse in Bhagavad Gita, among others, that manmana bhav madbhakto madhyajimam namaskaru ma mevashasi satyam te pritijano priyosi me. Meaning, always think of me. How do you think? You read about him, you think, you chant his names, you glorify, then become my devotee. So you visit his temples, his abode, and then you worship me, you offer, wonderful gifts, offer homage unto me, thus you will come to me without fail. He is saying it to Arjun, and through that he is telling to all of us. And he says, I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. And not just Arjun is his dear friend, all of us are his dear friend. It's just that we have forgotten that original friendship. So you can do this by these things, by reading manual and by chanting the Maha Mantra. And that will eventually take me back to my abode from where I came from, the abode of the God. So this is the purpose of human form of life. What is that? Reviving our loving relationship with the God and becoming his, follower, his devotee, and going back home. And that can be done through mantra meditation, the Maha Mantra meditation. So this is the purpose of this presentation today. ISS wanted to share these subtle aspects, commonly unexplored aspects of the human. Okay, so I hope I have explained to your satisfaction the purpose of human form of life. Any other questions?
Wonderful seminar by Asim Prabhu, and quite eye-opening, and also how science is also now, although science can't prove spirituality, but it can indicate towards spirituality. So by various uh, doing research on art of chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and the science behind effect of chanting this mantra. So people are realizing, and Srila Prabhupada has done wonderful, the greatest practical demonstration of the effect of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in 1960s, when the US government officials uh, publicly praised Srila Prabhupada for the social reformation he was doing in the youth community that time, by giving them Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, where the government was completely failed in reforming the youths. So that was wonderful. And people are realizing now, and a lot of millions of people are now chanting Hare Krishna. So our request to the purpose of taking this seminar by Asim Prabhu was simply that, to share this treasure to the participants so that they can also uh, bring happiness in their life, not normal happiness, transcendental happiness in their life by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So wonderful seminar by Asim Prabhu.